right. Well, welcome to our Q3 product webinar. We're really excited to have you here. My name is Stephen Bowles, founder and CEO of ShowFlow, and I've got John Alexander with us, product specialist as well. Hey, John.
What's up, Stephen?
Hey, man. So, hey, we're super pumped. We got loads of stuff to kind of walk with you guys through and show you what we've been working on the last few months, because they've kind of been crazy months, and we get that. But just a kind of high-level overview of what we're going to be talking through here today. On the front end, we'll do, fun old classic polls, but then we're going to go through and hit a couple of the sort of beta-type features that are actually coming close to coming out of beta. We talked about them in a recent webinar. So Johnny's going to talk about that. That's going to be over and under, and then that's going to be event chat. So we'll hit those briefly on the front end. And then we're really pumped. Today we're going to be talking about remote prompter, and so just our entire prompter app, but specifically some stuff we've been doing more recently and work with it in regards to getting the prompter for remote presenters and being able to control that remotely. So super cool stuff, nice new tech we've been working on there. And then finally, actually all of this awesomeness that you're looking at right now is a tease we're going to do here towards the end of a new product we've been building called ShowFlow Studio or Stream Studio. And it's actually an entirely new product that we're super pumped about, that we're currently in development on, and it lets you create and direct an online event. So switching between media, video, graphics, all that stuff is really what that product's about. So we're going to tease that at the end. So make sure you stay in for the whole enchilada. Okay, cool. So with that, let's start with a poll. The first poll is, of course, just kind of what is your industry? So JP, go ahead and fire up that poll. Awesome. So as you guys are kind of seeing that, fill in those answers. Just we like to know a little bit more about your industry, where you're from, things like that. We're spread between obviously corporate, sports, broadcast, and others. So
how many times have you run this poll before, Stephen?
Oh my gosh, I've probably run this poll like, I don't know, 27 times. All right, we'll close it up and share it because we like to share the infos. So JP cuts that for everybody. Cool. Awesome. Well, it looks like a lot of corporate, which is great, and then a fair bit of sports as well too, which is cool. The next poll we have is just really us trying to get a gauge. We're going to share this information with you, so I think it'd be helpful. But this is going to be really spread between both like corporate events, sports, broadcast. The question's just really like, looking ahead at your 2020, like what is your percentage of events that are actually going online? Or, essentially like to what degree and what percentage is this just kind of blown up your world? And so anyways, go ahead and launch that poll if you haven't already. Yep. Okay, cool. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been both cool to see some of the changes that are happening, but obviously it was so abrupt and so sudden. It's been difficult as well to see friends or customers and just buddies from the industry that are still trying to figure out how to adapt that. But looks like if you haven't already seen it, there's a fair bit of moving to online events, or at least that's what you're probably trying to create bids for, quotes for, what your clients are coming at you for. Obviously, sports is just really a difficult one to navigate right now. We get that. But anyways, well, cool. If that's helpful for you, it's helpful for us and just understanding where you guys are all at. So awesome. Well, with that, John is going to walk us through a handful of new features. The first one up is what we call over under, and that's actually currently in private beta and has been available for people. We've been dialing in a few specific features and functionalities. But John, if you want to, why don't you go ahead and walk us through over under?
Yeah. I guess before I dive in, something to mention, if you guys have any questions at all on any of the stuff we haven't talked about, talk about, as always, throw those questions in. We're carving off a good amount of time towards the end to make sure that we answer those as always. And if we're not able to get to it, get you a reply as well. So don't forget to send those questions in. But yeah, super excited to talk through over under. It's been a really fun one, one that we've had feedback on for a while. And honestly, seeing the kind of virtual event, virtual production teams, there's a really great use case for it. But also, when on-site events come back, hopefully sooner rather than later, there's also a really fantastic use case for this there as well. So let's just jump into a show. and talk through kind of how to set this up and what this kind of looks like. For those of you maybe who have been using it, we appreciate it. And those who maybe haven't but would like to, would love to get you in. Continue to send that feedback in on how all this is going. So to get it set up, first you need to be a show caller. And if you're a show caller on the event, you're going to see at the very bottom where that mouse is, there's a over/under toggle. So turn that on, just click it, and that will that'll enable it. And what that does, that brings in a third clock at the top. It's titled over/under next to the item runtime. And then underneath the over/under clock, you're going to also see ending at X time. That is your projected end of show time, and that clock is actually getting updated in real time as the show is going on, which will make a little more sense if you're looking at it for the first time once we kind of walk you through it. So to get started, it's really when it's on, it's on. And so as a show caller now, when you're ready to start the show or ready to call it, you simply, as always, press track. And what that happens is, as show caller tracking always does, it broadcasts that current location in the show for all crew following along anywhere, remote or on site. And in addition to our item runtime clock counting down, which has always been in there, we also bring that clock underneath the duration to the right. It is labeled in green, and it's counting down from the 10 minutes, which is the duration that we had inputted. This is green because you are currently under obviously that 10 minutes. And it's really as simple as that. And now to kind of demonstrate how it works, we're going to track early into item 2 video. And you're going to notice a couple things happen. One is we stamp that under, which was 9:10 in green. We also label it in that over/under clock up top with 9:10, and we also label the under in green. So this visually means that we are under for this show. In addition to that, we actually updated our projected end time as well. So now it's ending at projected to end at 9:36. So if we go back, and you're going to see we're actually running over a 20-second element. And so now this is actually labeled in red. It's got a plus, and it's counting up. And then also in our projected end of show time and in the under, you're going to see we're updating that clock in real time. So we're taking away from the under, as well as we're adding seconds to our projected end of show time. Now, all of these clocks at the top are synced across the show caller tracking, so any operator on-site, off-site is going to see all of that data in real time, giving the crew a really accurate depiction of how the show is going, what's our projected end time, and enabling a show caller to make those decisions right there on the fly with what they need to change, delete, whatever, all while running the show. So yeah, that's kind of over/under in a nutshell. Anything I missed, Steven?
No, I mean, you got it. I mean, I think the biggest thing I'd say is that it's really tied to the show caller. So for example, if you as a show caller hit the little red bullhorn here, that essentially stops the really over/under math from continuing. So it is important, if you're going to use the over/under functionality, that you're really thoughtful. Like if you track to the last row, and then you go to the bar, drink a couple beers, do whatever you do. If you don't explicitly hit stop, it's just going to keep kind of cranking away there. And then the last one is, you can see down here at the very bottom, there's a reset button. So we have designed it in a way to where you can rehearse, and you can kind of essentially go, okay, well, I wish I did a little better there. Maybe we shouldn't do 10 minutes. Maybe the walk-in should actually be 2 minutes here. Or whatever your situation might be. You can kind of click reset, and boom, that starts you all back over. And so now you can then again just track and begin your math. So again, every time you click reset, you're actually you're resetting your net over/under to be 0. And then you're basically, you don't even have to track in sequence. You can track entirely out of order. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to start to add up all of your offsets of those durations while you went to the over/under. So that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much over/under.
Yeah, you want to jump over to crew chat?
Yep, let's do it. So yeah, real quick, just to set that one up. So Johnny and I think debuted this with everybody, last quarter. But this is what we're calling Crew Chat, and Crew Chat is also in private beta, and you can access it and request access for that by sending an email to feedback@showflow.tv. Coming out over the blue chat at the bottom right of the app, or just reaching out to your Showflow contact or account executive, and we can have this turned on. This is another one that we're coming towards the end of private beta, and we'll be making more widely available here, likely sometime in August. So Johnny, I will go ahead and jump on over there and walk us through it, dude.
Yeah, so crew chat, pretty simple, straightforward. It is located in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll notice it's in blue, got a couple little message bubbles there. Once you click on that, it's going to bring up your chat window. You'll notice there's a couple things there. You got channels, which as of right now, these are our 4 default channels: production, lighting, video, audio. Everybody is invited into those and has access to them and can see the chats and everything. Or you can directly message anybody, any crew member who's been invited into the event. Regardless of permission, read-only, show caller, you can see everyone and directly message any of them. Within the chat, I'll just send Steven a message right here on another computer. Stevie, you can kind of see it happen there. Looks like I'm a dog in that.
Apparently you have a dog or a kitten. No, that is your dog. Nice.
I don't think that's my dog.
No, that's not your dog. Somebody else's dog.
But yeah, so I mean, pretty simple, straightforward there. Some other great things in chat. You can send files, PDF, keynotes, audio tracks, PowerPoints. So, communicate that within channels, communicate those directly between users. You can also drop in links to YouTube videos or Dropbox links for media assets, anything like that. So yeah, some great scenarios. You can also do some emoji replies, or just drop the emojis in for anything. But yeah, you get some read receipts, trying to think other little scenarios in there. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. There's obviously a lot more to come to this. So as always, send us some feedback, things like that, with things you'd like to see, or maybe how, if you have been using them, would love to hear scenarios of how that's been helpful. Obviously, kind of everybody remote, there's a great scenario there, but yeah, we'd just love to hear kind of how you guys are using it and other ways maybe you'd like to see it improved.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that too would be just for everyone to know, chat, we're not trying to be your Slack or anything like that. We're just trying to be something that can meet you when you do have everybody connected. So our event crew chat is just that, it's on the event level. So what's cool about that is, as a team, if you're an event agency or even a sporting group that's got different crew floating through from game to game, you can actually just feel confident that in every single event you create, you've got your own production, audio, video, lights, channels, your own direct messages, things like that. So yeah, reach out, same thing, blue chat, and we'll get that fired up and turn it on for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think that kind of covers the crew chat. Yeah. You want to kind of walk them through the remote prompter?
Yeah, so the remote prompter is pretty, we're really excited about this. Prompter is something that, we've been working on for really, last year and a half, 2 years. And we were kind of iterating on it slowly and just kind of working on trying to figure out what it looked like for us and for our environments and for our customer base. And it was, really last fall and into the spring that we kind of said, let's just go forward. And so we really invested heavily into making sure that it was stable and could be a tool that you could actually use in a live environment for the prompter. And so that was something that we had going into this, craziness that we're in right now with what's happening with events and the need for remote presenters and things of that nature. And so we, over the last few months, have really tried to dial in how do we solve this problem where people need to get a presenter, the prompter, but they don't necessarily what are your options? A lot of you guys, I'm sure, are doing Zooms or Skypes or WebExes, something like that, where you're actually going in and you're essentially just doing a screen share of the prompter operator and sharing that to the remote prompter. So that works. It's got its pros, it's got its cons, but that's one. For us, what we said is we really feel like we can benefit from getting you the entire prompter type experience over to them. And so we're going to demo that here today. For anyone who's new to ShowFlow or new to the concept of prompter, in prompter we have the ability to have as many scripts as you want. These are obviously very funny looking ones. This is mostly focused around just demonstrating. So these are different colors that represent different scripts here. But as a prompter operator, you can go in, you can make an edit, you could say that this is Jeff, and I could use a keyboard command shortcut. This is a pro tip here. Command 1 will actually kind of default that formatting to look like that, or you can do Command 2 or Command 4. So you have a bunch of those. But Command 1 could be this, and you can simply just hit save, and that saves for everybody, whether you're in the rundown view or you're in this prompter view. And so anyways, what we've actually done is we've added, we're going to be expanding on this more. We've got another 2 or so weeks worth of development on this before we make it widely available. But you can kind of see up here, we have this option that literally lets you pull up remote prompter. And so it's similar to Guest Pass. This is going to create a URL that you could then copy, you could text, you could email, whatever you want. We're going to make it shorter, not the long one. But if you simply just open that in a new tab, what that's going to do is it's going to load your rundown. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this by putting these really just side by side initially here. All right, so, and I'm going to go ahead and just go full frame on our screen share. There we go. Cool. So let's just try and go ahead and take ourselves all the way up to the top. So on the left side, again, there's a remote prompter. In this view, I can't go into edit mode, right? So the presenter can't make any changes for you. But at the same time, if you simply just scroll up and down, it is going to stay in sync. Right now, we just kind of have it cutting. Again, this isn't me doing the active scroll of prompter. This is me just jumping around with my mouse. So we're going to make that have an ease too, so where the remote prompter kind of like eases forward and eases backwards when you're doing this, just to kind of make it a little less jumpy. But in general, we're successfully getting the content to the remote prompter, and we're getting the scroll position to be accurate right now. You can also, of course, just go into edit mode, make a color change, do whatever you want to do, and as soon as you exit out of edit mode, that's real time. So again, we're not doing a Zoom, we're not doing a WebEx, this is just using the same standard real-time protocols that ShowFlow has been offering for years. We've just brought it into the idea of the remote prompter. And you could come in there and you could change text around, and I could, format it like I was talking about earlier. We could give it another line return. And so all of those passes are going to be real time right there for everybody. In addition to that, if I was to simply just come in here and try to edit a little bit more of the sizing of things, I can do that by simply just adjusting my text size. And we can see that it's actually following and readjusting that right there. I can also adjust my line heights. I can adjust my speed, my prompter widths, all that kind of stuff, all caps, all those pieces like we talked about continue to work. And then finally, just the active scroll. So if I simply down here just hit the space bar, we can see that we are the same experience that if you've ever used the prompter software in ShowFlow of what it feels like for you as an operator, that is the experience that they will feel as a remote presenter. So fun things that we're really stoked about on this is this is going to help us solve some of our second screen and secondary output feature or sort of challenges that people who used our software were interested in, because right now, although we do have the ability to do a horizontal flip here, ideally the prompter operator doesn't get their script flipped horizontally, just the secondary output does. And so what we're going to be doing is adapting this prompter operator space so that you're actually, when you're flipping the horizontal, you're flipping it for only remote views and not for yourself. So that allows you to not have to use this only in the environment with a remote presenter, but you could actually just have this on a second tab in ShowFlow or whatever on your same computer, literally exactly like I've got. But just drag it over to your secondary monitor, which is the HDMI output that's likely going into the video system or into the prompter operating system. And that would allow you to achieve that second output that is not disturbed by any of the controls coming on or off the screen as well too. Other things that we're really excited about what we're bringing into prompter is the speaker timer. So we're going to be able to bring the speaker timer both into the operator view and then also into the remote presenter view. So again, by using our tool, not only are you benefiting from it being linked to the rundown, so we're being able to move rows up and down and just your general run of show, being able to just, you know, play with that like you normally do. And the script is staying relationally to the right spot. But now we're going to give you something that can actually get to your remote presenters, and they can sit there and observe, and then you can just drive it forwards and backwards. The last thing I'll mention, which, you know, I haven't mentioned yet, is what's really cool is that there is an unlimited amount of monitors that you can actually add. So again, same scenario. I've got now a secondary output here. Let's see if I can get this going here. A little weird. Let's see if I can get it down a little lower. There we go. So now I'm going to actually be able to drive 2 or 3 scripts. I'll go a little looser just so, yeah, there it's showing up. And so if I move around, it's following. If I hit a basic space bar, it's following. So what's really awesome about that is you can honestly share that with your crew. You could share with an assistant producer, any other stakeholders that are interested in it, and they can literally just follow along live as you're prompting, which is pretty cool. So anyways, I'm sure there's some good questions around that. Send that in. Use our Q&A in the comments that are coming in. And JP and I have, and Johnny have created a dedicated block at the end of the hour, or in about 15 minutes, where we will really work through those more specifically. But this is fun. We're excited. Standard prompter functionality has been around for a while, and if you aren't using that already, we encourage you to. This remote prompter is something that will be available for early beta testing as early as next week, and then probably more broadly released for people who use prompter as we come towards the mid and end of August. Cool. Johnny, anything else you'd share on that before we switch over to studio?
No, man. I mean, I think I'm really excited for the opportunity to have multiple users or multiple devices that you can just copy, paste that link. I think when on-site events are back, there's going to be some really unique scenarios of where it's helpful to have that set up in other spaces, backstage, confidence monitors, yeah, wherever, you know, in front of a show caller on a different monitor, and just being able to paste that in the browser, pull it up without having to run things hardwired or anything like that, I think is really awesome. So I'm excited to see how people use it that maybe we don't even know yet.
Me too, man. Well, cool, guys. Well, this last one is really just something fun, something that I'm really excited about. So, you know, when things changed like they did so much, there's, you know, a lot of ways to respond to that. And we've seen our customers and have been inspired by a lot of our customers and how they respond to this. I responded over the last few months. For us, we just don't know how to like sit on our hands. And so we just doubled down and leaned into what we do best, which is to build cool technology and tools that equip teams like yourselves who are out there trying to produce events, whether they're virtual events or on-site events or some form of a hybrid. We're just, you know, that's what we're trying to do, is build tools that really make y'all's lives easier. And so all of this, and by this I mean whatever's happened outside of my tile, is actually using our newest product that we've been focused on for the last few months called ShowFlow Studio or Stream Studio. We're kind of working on both. We're not exactly sure. But it's really, really fun. And so let me demo just a little bit of it to you. But the main demo right now so far has really just been this entire webinar experience. Video playback, graphics, overlays, bringing in remote presenters. Johnny and I are definitely not in the same room. Screen shares, and then being able to get that out to different destinations, whether that's to standard Zoom type or WebEx type experiences, or to social media like Facebook and YouTube. We can really do it all. Cool. So let me jump in and just kind of show it to you for a little bit. All right. So with ShowFlow Stream Studio, let me jump back out real quick. We're going to jump over there, Stream Studio. So where it's going to actually land is we're going to probably be bringing this straight into the dashboard so that you can either create a rundown or you can create a new studio. Right now, we kind of have it embedded inside of a rundown in our classic eyeball area, which is just where we throw everything. But I expect that we would bring this more up front and with you as well. But anyways, switching over to studio, you can kind of see here This is a studio. This is not the one we're working in right now. This is a totally other one, which right there makes a really interesting point about studio, which is that if you're using things like vMix or other things like that, you're probably limited to the one thing that it can do at a time. But Studio, just like the live events software that we already have, which is the rundown and the prompter, this thing can scale with you to whatever size of events and quantity of events that you have going on at the same time. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna, I mean, it's not a full-on demo, but we're super pumped because this is like the first time we've ever done this. But anyway, so check this out. So basically in the upper right, I've got layers. So I can bring in upper left, drop in an overlay. Let me go ahead and take this full so you guys can see this a little better. Cool. And I could do another one on air over here in the upper right. I can move those around to the lower right or the lower left. We're, of course, going to be bringing in the ability to have even more X and Y controls around your positioning of that. But that's the basic concept of overlays, which are going to be layers that sit above whatever your cameras are. Then we also are going to be doing what we call backgrounds. And so backgrounds, the right way to look at backgrounds would be, let me go ahead and open up a particular image here and go to a media on the right. So this is an example of like a JPEG or a PNG or whatever it is. This is from a customer spotlight we did with one of our favorite event agencies, MIG. If you're doing anything in the world of virtual events, these guys are already 100 miles further ahead than anyone else out there. And trust me, we're talking to a lot of people. And so anyways, that is an image on the right, and this is a presenter on the left. And so simply just being able to choose, do I want a background, right? Or apparently, do I want to be in front of a waterfall? I have a lot of flexibility. Let's go back to this one over here. Let's just go over this one's a little better. So anyways, backgrounds, overlays, we've got camera tiles here. I would add more, but unfortunately, I'm already doing another session and there's too many cameras. I don't have any more cameras available. But really, you could handle up to like 8, if not 12 different camera presenters, and we would move them into more of a grid-like layout. That's what you've been seeing me and Johnny when we kind of go to this look right here. That is us in the grid layout. I can also solo Johnny directly. I can solo myself directly. I can solo a screenshot directly, etc. So I'm gonna swing back over to our screen share so you can kind of see what we're working over here. Also, you can upload media. So you can upload videos, audio, graphics, whatever you want to do. So I can simply just kind of kick off a particular video if I wanted to. It could be a more exciting video, kind of like this. Like this, where like you saw at the very beginning of this webinar, where it was more, we had a countdown video, and then we went from that video into this video, and then from there we went into our live cameras of ourselves. So this is just an initial tease. Really, guys, the exciting thing about this is if you at all are trying to figure out how to produce something better than Zoom, if you're trying to, you know, haggle together all of these like random WebEx and Zoom controls, like spotlight somebody or whatever, or you're trying to fake people out like we have done in previous webinars where we're doing screen shares and I'm literally pausing the screen share and I'm tabbing between that and a different like Keynote in some other application, trying to position it correctly and then unpausing the screen share. If you've been doing those hacks, reach out to us. This is what we're building that software for. We're not trying to overly complicate it. We're not trying to be a replacement for ROS video switchers or even vMixes to an extent. We're trying to create a very simple but produced way to, or a tool to produce an online stream, an online experience for people that are already dealing with webcams or things of that nature. What's really going to be fun is as we tie this tool in with our existing tools. So you better believe this is going to be linked in with the rundown. This is going to be linked in with the prompter, the ability to track forward and trigger video playbacks. Really, really cool stuff happening there, guys. So if this is something that you're interested in, then please do reach out to feedback@showflow.tv you know, go ahead and let us know. Our beta is probably coming soon, sometime in the next few weeks, and if you're willing to just kind of play around with it, you can have access to it even sooner. But in terms of it being stable for a live event, I mean, it handled this event decently, but we're still kind of obviously working through that, but we're really, really, really excited. Cool. Well, I think that's enough, Johnny. We blew a lot of things. We did a lot of stuff.
It's a lot to go over.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So JP, any specific questions that you can pass over to Johnny already? And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in. We'd love to answer whatever we can now. Again, expanding on the over-under or the chat, the remote prompter, or the studio. If you have those questions, go ahead and send those in.
Yeah, we got a good amount, so we'll do our best. I can go ahead and read one off, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Well, somebody's asking, like, when you say beta, are there problems that might arise? This is worth just reiterating kind of beta and what that looks like.
Yeah. So yeah, when we say beta, it does mean you might find a problem. It's like downloading the early version of an iOS or some app or something like that. When we say beta, we mean we generally feel like the things that we expect to work are working, because we're bug testing it left and right, and what we need is actually more fingers clicking, more rows, more shows, more everything, for us to understand the scenarios that we, for whatever reason, haven't been able to recreate in-house. So yeah, like for example in chat, an early version of beta, I think it wasn't, all of the channels weren't always showing up. We've done work on that. So if that experience is still happening, we would hope that it doesn't. But again, we're waiting till there's a certain amount of period where we're not hearing bug requests or ones that are of concern before we take it out of beta. So that's my answer for that.
Got another good one. Can you save over-under data? So talking about the over-under clock, can you save over-under data from rehearsals before the reset? So somebody kind of looking to, how do you track the progress maybe?
Yeah.
Something that we're, maybe talking about is, duplicating a show. That's kind of first thought I had, for kind of keeping track of those and then, labeling that show for a version or a date, or maybe even saving a timestamp show for later.
Yeah, let me jump into that. So yeah, in general, the answer is it's not going to go away until you explicitly hit reset. So you can, like, these were our timestamps that we did earlier, our over 100 stamps, and they're not going to go away if I log in tomorrow. If I log in next week, they'll still be there. But in terms of once you click reset, there is no like recall what the previous timestamp set was. So it's replacing and clearing those values and starting from new. If that's the answer to your question. Yeah, so what Johnny was talking about, ways you might get around that would be potentially duplicating or saving the show if you wanted to, that you could look at a later time. The other one is if you are interested in really keeping a closer eye, not so much on how much you were under, but just timestamps in general. We do have what's called this sort of timestamp column, and that will, as you track rows, drop a timestamp. And then if you track into that row, the same row again, it will just add a new timestamp, but it will keep a record of all of the ones so far. So we can see this one was at 3:34:50, and this one was at 3:34:43. And every time I track into this thing, it will add a new timestamp to it. So it's a little different, but more so just in that space of keeping track of how you ran the show with times. The timestamp column will better record and not clear out, but it won't necessarily state you're under or you're over. It'll just say when did you track into that row. And if you are looking to use over and under, that is currently something that is absolutely just it will stay until you hit reset, and then as soon as you hit reset, it will clear, and you cannot get those values back.
Yeah, good answers. So we got a lot, but I'll try to get through as many as we can. We don't have to spend as much time on each one, maybe, Stephen.
Slow down.
Let's see. Well, one person asking, when will the remote prompter be available? Any insight on that, Stevie?
It's basically available for if you're a logged in user already, next week, meaning like you can share it, but it can't be to someone who doesn't already have a ShowFlow account. And then we're currently working on the plumbing that allows you to share it like you would a guest pass. and the person on who you're sharing it with, i.e. the remote presenter, Elon Musk or whatever, that he doesn't already have to have a ShowFlow user account. So that's the bit we're building right now. So I would say definitely that's our primary project right now outside of Studio. So give us another couple weeks. But if you're interested in just playing around with it on your own, go ahead and reach out at feedback at ShowFlow, and we can get it to you, and you can use it and test it. You just have to be also a logged in user in the ShowFlow right now.
Yep. Does media sent through chat go, like media assets sent through chat, does that go directly to users, or is it up to the cloud and back down?
Up to the cloud and back down.
Cloud back down. Yep, that's what I thought. Somebody asking about in crew chat, can you assign users to groups like audio, lighting, all that? I can kind of address that. As of right now, you can't, but that is feedback we're hearing. I think those are simple iterations to the crew chat that'll be more standard with, limiting or creating, channels and all of that. But as of right now, just, to be transparent, everybody has access to each one of those channels. Let's see, here's one about for prompter. Let's see. If a scenario question, if I hire a remote teleprompter for CEO or the CEO only wants to use his or her prompter, can that prompter be involved through ShowFlow and drive the prompter?
Yeah. So if you were to hire a remote teleprompter, I mean that's what this is designed for.
Yep.
So you invite them in as a contributor, so they can't change or run down or anything too significant. You'd invite them in as a contributor, and then they would have this view, and then again they would either use our remote prompter and share that to whoever you want to get it to, who's actually reading it. Or you can do what you're probably already doing, which is a one-to-one WebEx or Skype or something like that, screen share. If your CEO wants to drive his own prompter, you could,
as a user.
Yeah, you would just bring him in as a user, read only again, but you'd probably just share this URL, and then he can just scroll up and down. He could actually interact with and change his own text size and everything. If you want to make a contributor, you could, and then he would actually be able to go in here and sort of update his script as you're in there.
Yep.
And yeah, and in terms of driving the remote prompter, it's pretty simple. It's spacebar stops it, and then
Yep.
up and down arrow gets you going faster. So yeah, whoever's the question that is, reach out to us. I'd love to understand a little bit more what your scenario is. Make sure I'm dialing that in for you.
Yep. Here's a good kind of question around security a little bit. Can remote prompter link have password added for security?
Yeah, great question. So what we're going to do with the remote prompter is we're going to introduce this concept of a knock, which I think Zoom sort of does something like that. But basically, you as the operator, who again is in this kind of view here, you as the operator are going to be informed that somebody is requesting to access your link, and then they'll have to pass through a name and all that kind of jazz, and then you would say accept or not, and if you accept it, then it will load on there. But no, it won't we won't have it be where it just loads by default. Like you couldn't share it on Reddit and it just be visible, That
would be good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can media in studio play in a window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what he means by, or she means by window, but I think you meant just like a tile almost. And so yeah, let's take a look. Stream Studio. Well, that's pretty easy. Real quick, Johnny, mute yourself. We'll just do this real quick. Cool, Johnny, you can unmute. So yeah, we've got a couple of default layouts that we're going to have with Studio that essentially lets you get to awesomeness pretty quick, and they're called auto layouts. And so auto layouts basically mean if you were to actually, here I can share my screen on that. So in Studio, if you were to be in Studio and you wanted to just kind of get to a really good starting spot quickly, you would do what we call the auto layout, or you would use our auto layouts. And so that's basically a form of solo. Grid view would be, again, what I showed Johnny, and you know, you and I, when Johnny and I are on there together, and that will auto scale. So if there's 4 of us, then it will go to a 4 box. If there's 6 of us, it will go to a 6 box, whatever. So it auto scales accordingly. Then we also have a media write, which I think I can demo. I demoed earlier. So that would just stack Johnny and I on top of each other and as many more others. And it would always just have screen share Focusrite or media Focusrite. And you can literally just, you know, jump around between different media assets in there as well too. So this was one that we had from a webinar we had earlier this year. Actually, not MIG, but that was actually a webinar with Riot Games, which is pretty awesome, guys. So that's the answer to that. Yes, there is a way to put people left and media right. Our hope would obviously make the entire canvas something that, for more advanced users, you can position everything where you want it to be. What else, Johnny? Oh, Johnny, you're muted.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So somebody's asking about how do you access, well, somebody was asking, like, Steve, are you able to show in studio how you were able to access my camera or my, like, presenter camera? I don't think we were able to do it in the demo because we were using it, but maybe just if you're able to.
I can demo it. I can demo it. I got the skills. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to full screen here again. So this is, again, in studio. Reminder, 2 different studio sessions, just 2 different browsers basically going on right now. So you've got what we call copy invite link up here. So then I'm gonna go and launch an incognitus window here, drop that in, and this is what your remote presenter might join into. And so they're able to come in there and I'll say, Elon Musk.
This is what you're talking about when you're talking about the knocking, by the way, with the.
Yeah, this is also this is using the same knock functionality that remote prompter will be incorporating as well. So if I hit request access, it kind of goes to this request access. So if I pull this down, we can see an styled, meaning we'll make it look mo beta, but an unstyled version, and Elon Musk is requesting access. So then I can hit approve. So now Elon Musk is being presented with first, we have to ask for permission. Once they get permission, we can then, select different cameras. Let's see if it'll let me bring in this other camera. Ah, yeah, there's another one right there. And then I'm gonna hit save. Mute myself. Woo-hoo. Yeah. Nobody wants the feedback loop. Anyway, so this is actually a good demo. So then, yeah, so now if I unmute or put these side by side, you can kind of see here, let's see, on, so anywho, so that's kind of your request approach. And then if you did media, looks like my second tile didn't mount, so it's not saying up there, but that would be right above there as well too. So that's how you request access.
Cool. Are pips going to be available in studio setup? You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, pips. Really, pips are just kind of like another expression of a tile arrangement. Yourself, pipped picture in picture over something else. So absolutely. I mean, to an extent, this is right here a pip, but it's 2 pips and 3 pips, whatever it is. But yeah, absolutely. The goal would be to give advanced users the ability really to position both X, Y, and Z access, so you can really layer that stuff however you want.
Can you upload motion graphics to lower thirds? Like maybe rotating?
Yeah. So the question there is like basically lower thirds. How do you make them mo beta? Yeah. So again, our implementation path on this is relatively like minimal first, but we are actually designing ourselves a suite of templates or whatever that are really kind of cool and exciting looking. Our designer Ryan Carden's been enjoying that. So we're going to give you about you know, a lot of different ones to choose from, and then the ability to brand those with like accent colors and things of that nature. So I think we'll make those look really great, and those will have animate on and animate off effects, which is cool. In terms of being able to put just a video as your lower third or baked into your lower third, that's cool. Honestly, that's the type of stuff I want.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want to reach out, join one of our beta list customers, or even just feedback, because I'd love to just dial in more specifically what you mean that when you ask for that.
Yeah, I got a good question about what's the max number of presenters that can be on a screen. I mean, we've been using this product on our meetings that we all have been working remote, so I know that's a good amount. But is there a max right now?
I would say that playing in the space of like 8 is a safe space. 4 to 8 is your like no problemo zone. I think once you can get more than that, but I think that at this point we're kind of, we would call a stress test of it to be more closer to like 12 presenters. Of which, just to be honest, like putting that all on the screen and being in an actual panel discussion could be pretty bonkers. So at that point, I would say, are you really using this to direct a conversation, or are you trying to use this for a video conferencing solution? And if it's a video conferencing solution, then obviously there's going to be other tools for that. Yeah.
Let's see. I just saw a good one and I lost it. Oh, this is good. I mean, just a good reminder. Does the studio platform have to preset through Zoom, or can you use other platforms like Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, whatever?
Yeah. So that's a great question. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So we are building out the ability to have your own endpoints. So with endpoints, right now they're kind of, again, ugly. We haven't styled them, but you would be able to essentially create your own custom RTMP endpoint. And it's just a streaming protocol. But it's basically the way to get it to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch. I mean, hit them all. They're all basically that. And so you'd be able to pass in the stream URL, the key. You can define your bit rate. We're going to make all that way more user friendly, so fear not. So yes, we're actually going to be able to do that for you, and that's actually really one of the value points of ShowFlow. Is it's not, because it's a cloud-based studio, it's not like an OBS, and it's not like even a vMix, to be honest, where you're leveraging all of your computer power on your computer, and you're streaming out, and you're dependent on your uplink out of your own like apartment, wherever you are right now, trying to do this massive web stream to 5,000 people. We actually do it in the cloud. We fire up essentially a virtual computer that has a unlimited amount of processing power, and it literally just fires up program, and then it streams that out to wherever you want it to be. So we can actually get it we can get it to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, another Facebook, 72 other sub-Facebook pages, all at the exact same time. And for you as a director and as your presenters, you're not doing anything more than what we're doing right now, which is just directing between cameras, toggling graphics on and off, etc. Good question.
Yeah, a lot of great technical ones. So another good one, bringing in remote presenters into ShowFlow, is it via WebRTC? What's your latency?
Bringing remote presenters in? Yeah. So it's going to be, it's WebRTC, so it's going to be sub 1 second. So me and Johnny are doing it right now. It's conversational, just like a Zoom or any of those expected sort of video conferencing standards.
Yeah, somebody's asking about in studio for the layouts. Are you going to allow users to create their own layouts, or will we be adding more options in the future?
Both. Yeah, both for sure.
Yep.
We wanted to start with what generally covers most of the bases, which is more of an auto layout approach where you can take a presenter on and off. So for example, Johnny and I could be in a conversation, and then I could pull Johnny out, or I can put him back in really easily. I can also put JP in, who doesn't know it, but he's in right now. There he is. There's Mr. JP. Or I could pull him out. So that's a great example of the auto layout happening. So we went to a 3-box, down to a 2-box. If we were to go to a media on the right, we still have all 3. Can pull him out. So we're mostly focused on those types of things right now, but the goal being to ultimately create custom presets. Johnny's muted. Bring it back. Sorry, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
That's a pro feature, though. You know, director can control the mute. All right, that's a nice one.
Yeah, how much time we have left?
Probably go like one or two more questions, and we can.
Okay. I mean, this is probably just a good one, maybe to reiterate, but somebody's kind of asking for remote presenter, maybe talk through like a real world example of how a producer in one location and a talent or presenter in another location, kind of who's running. This person's kind of asking like, who's running PowerPoint on his computer? Do you need 2 devices?
Is this related to remote prompter or just being a remote presenter in general?
This would be prompter. So maybe I'm not sure I follow who's running PowerPoint.
All right, I can take it. But I think in general, this is a big problem space for people who are producing live events for online. And so you should look out there, and anyone who's doing this successfully, you guys should blog about it and tweet about it or TikTok about it, whatever you do these days. But we need to be sharing, idea sharing here, show flows. So anyways, in general, the way people, I believe, as I've seen it, are handling remote presenters is you are essentially establishing a one-to-one Skype session with them. And then that camera, that computer that is on the production side is going into a video switcher, and that is getting switched around as just a camera source. The challenges with that is, what are you sending return back to them, things of that. So that's why we're building Studio, is that's a problem space, and we're trying to simplify that. Other things when it comes to remote prompter, I would say the answer to that is it's likely if you're a full-on agency and you're producing live events, then you need to have a prompter operator, just like you need to have a graphics op. You need to have a prompter op. They can be next to you in Video Village in your warehouse, or they can be fully distributed. It doesn't really matter. But they need to be in ShowFlow, and they need to be in the prompter, and they need to be doing that. And then they need to share, and then they would give a remote monitor link over to the remote presenter. And so then temporarily, they would also still maintain likely some sort of video conference, direct Skype connection with them, because you need to be able to hear that remote presenter while they're talking, and you need to be able to prompt them. We're actually going to be introducing that into our remote prompter software. Just like you're doing with Studio, we're going to bring that technology into the remote prompter so that it actually triggers an audio-video connection directly with the presenter.
I got one more. Will you be able to tie and trigger Studio presets in lines in ShowFlow? In the rundown.
Oh, faux ShowFlow. Yeah. That is absolutely what it's all about, is building the tools so that they can be independently valuable but ultimately integrated. Show control is something we've been wanting for years. And so, there's conversation about how we do that outside of, like, in the real world or the on-site world, in terms of triggering your playback pros and things like that. And that gets a little trickier. I mean, Companion and Stream Deck and things like that are doing they're making some good headway. For now, though, if you were to use Studio and Rundown in our ShowFlow Rundown software, absolutely we will tie those together and help you trigger those video playbacks.
Cool. I mean, didn't able to get to every single one, but yeah, got through a lot of them.
Cool.
A lot of good questions. Appreciate everybody sending those in. If we didn't get to them, we'll try our best to get a reply out to you. If you have your email in there, we can get it to it, or shoot us the question in our little in-app chat or in our website chat, and somebody will respond to it that way as well.
Cool, guys. Well, thank you all for joining. feedback at showflow.tv or coming on the blue chat. We are looking for people. We're building a lot of things. We're looking for people who want to test it. You don't have to use it on show site. You can just kind of bang it around with it if you have some free time and you're not even, maybe you don't actually have an event coming up or work directly around the corner. We welcome we'll give you something to do. Come on in, help us break some stuff. But we've got some really cool technology coming around the corner, and we're excited about it. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Johnny B, or Johnny A. That's my older name, Johnny B. Thank you, Johnny A. Thank you, JP. And thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.